I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
And this is, Yes. What's the name of the band is Yes?
That's a funny band name, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of things you can do with that. South Side of the Sky is the name of the song.
The Big Homie Scott.
Brought to you by the Big Homie Scott. For Tommy
Look,
Topical.
he's wearing the Sori Secret shirt.
Yeah, it's like a double, triple whammy.
I know.
He's got a guitar in the background.
Yep.
That guy's he's certified. Certified metal. For Tommy Topical political commentary, you can hit us up in Middle America with Vin and Sori. Now, there's multiple ways to get your song reviewed. Dear listener, my favorite way is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon, where you get recruited by the Patreon Alliance leaders. You pull your points together, and then you get a song reviewed. If you're a filthy capitalist like Sori, and you're an individualist, and you don't want to work in a team or an alliance, then you can do what the Big Homie Scott did. $125 at the gate gets you straight to the head of the line, where you can determine what song by your lonesome, and that's what the Big Homie did. You do that 3 times, it goes down to the $75 rate, and you get a lifetime subscription to the restricted area of our website. Having said all of that, South Side of the Sky, let's go. Oh, okay. It's the first song on the track? Nope. 4th.
I don't think this is gonna end well.
vibe to it. That's deep.
Yeah. But it kind of reminded me of those, there's like those hiking trails that people can go on, and there's like bodies that mark the trail.
Mount Everest. That's what I was thinking. Was Mount Everest was that they have those, and they just leave them up there.
I don't understand why they leave them up there.
I don't know. Maybe it's maybe a warning thing. I don't know. I mean, the people who go to Mount Everest, they're in their own like subculture.
Yeah.
They're like their own like type of people. So I'm sure they understand it.
Yeah.
The rest of us don't.
Maybe it's like, how you can donate your organs or your body to science?
Yeah.
Maybe it's something like that. Maybe like within that crew, like maybe you say, if I don't make it out of here, leave me where I go.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's risking your life to go up there at all.
Yeah,
so maybe people are like, what's the point of risking our lives to get that body down there? You know what I mean? I mean, it makes sense from that perspective. Why would you risk your life to? The guy's already dead.
I would risk my life to get you back off a mountain.
I would not risk other people's life to get you off of the mountain, because you wouldn't be going up the mountain, right? It would be other workers. I'm not going to risk their lives. You know, you're already with the Ain Self.
Oh, I can't do that. I would not want your body just out on display for people walking by to see you frozen up on a mountain.
Again, I mean,
I couldn't do it. I can't do that. I don't like that at all. I'm like the type of person that you could rip me off by making me spend thousands of dollars on the most comfortable coffin for you.
Yeah, I know.
That's why it's better to just want to be cremated. That makes it easier.
I mean, I dump it in a landfill. I could care less. I'll be with God. Who cares? I mean, it's all going to happen. Whether you put him in a comfortable coffin or in a landfill, it's all going to be the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's entropy is going to take hold, and whatever's going to happen is going to happen. And then I'll see you again at the resurrection. I mean, it's not that big of a deal.
Well, that's not what this song's about.
But I wouldn't. Well, I don't know.
No, it's not about you dying.
A mountain to be cried. I would never do that. I've had enough thrills for a lifetime. Believe me. So it looks like you know, they went up to Mount Everest and the guy got stuck, and there is that sort of euphoria. I was listening to a guy. He was talking about. It's really interesting because he's not very religious. Another guy in Afghanistan, they got in a lot of trouble, and he got hit. I think the
Jeez.
It wasn't actually the bullet. It was the heat from the. Because you know it's a mini explosion, and it seared one of his arteries when it went by. So it didn't like hit him. It's very strange. I forgot what the medic called it, but. I mean, he was down, and he said he had all this anxiety, obviously, because he was bleeding out and blah, blah, blah. He was a medic, too, so he knew what was happening to him. And then he said, this wave of, he said, whatever people call it, you know.
Did he die?
No. I mean, he was talking about it, so he didn't die.
Well, I didn't know.
What?
Because you said the heat went by, you know how like they can cauterize a wound or something? I didn't know if maybe the heat made it so that way it wasn't as bad as the bullet going through.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Those guys are like...
And I didn't know if when the guy was dying, he's like, I feel completely peaceful right now.
Yeah, he was a corpsman, and the guy that patched him up was a pararescue guy. And pararescue guys, they're like doctors. Like it's unbelievable. Anyway, yeah, he said he had all this anxiety, yada yada yada, and then he basically said this. He basically said whatever people think is out there, God, whatever. He said this wave of peace came over him, and that he was okay. He was fine with dying. The guy's, and he's not a religious dude by any means, but he was just, you know, whatever. And he said, you know, whatever power is up there or whatever, he just felt a very strong, you know.
No, well, not everybody's like that. Not everybody on their dying breath says that they felt a peace about it.
Well, I mean, he didn't die.
He wasn't dying, so maybe that's why.
Well, I mean, he was dying, but he did not die.
Yeah.
Maybe it was just God showing up and saying, you're going to be all right. And maybe that calming him down probably made it so that he didn't lose
well, yeah, because
too many
your
liters
heart's
of blood.
racing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, and there's always naturalistic explanations for, you know, you're getting flooded with endorphins and things like that, you know. So, I mean, who knows? But it's just very interesting discussion. I was watching this other guy. It was actually on Vlad TV. It was these Crips, and these dudes roll up on him and shot him. And this was Tupac's best friend. So Tupac's best friend, and he had a brother, and they were both Crips, and the brother got shot, and he said the same thing. He said that he was basically, he went down, and then he was very nervous and afraid, and then he basically said he was at peace with it, and it was like going to sleep when he was a kid in his bed, but he was out there on the street. So I don't know, you know, I don't, you know, it's a big.
And that guy didn't die either?
He didn't die either. So, but the people that shot him did. They ended up dying. They patched brother up in the hospital, and they rolled back and whatever. So I mean, I don't know. You know, I think God's very, very merciful, and I think, you know. But you know, I went through this phase where I had these very like morbid sort of like fascination with people's last words or whatever when they were dying. So I went through this crazy phase. I was probably trying to wrap my mind around certain things, and then. But you're right. There's been a lot of people that have not felt a wave of peace before they die. There's a lot of people that felt terrified and said crazy stuff. I you know, the craziest one I read, I'm not going to get into details because it's just spooky as hell, but the nurse basically said, I am never going to attend to the heathen when they're dying again.
Wow.
This was like back in the, you know, 1800s or whatnot. And so the heathen didn't just mean like, you know, like native savages or whatever. They were also talking about, you know, people who were not, you know, didn't have a relationship with Christ, through God through Christ. So there was a story. It was pretty terrifying. I don't care how gangster you think you are. It was a pretty terrifying story. And the nurse basically said, I'm never attending to the heathen again in the moment of their death. So there's that too. You know what I mean? So
this is the verse I always think about. But I feel like you're going to say it doesn't mean what I think it means. It doesn't matter which one. Mark the perfect man and behold the upright, for the end of that man is peace. And we were always told that the end, but I see over here it says the future for that man is. I don't know if we always said it was the man's death.
I agree.
And that there was, you know, there's a certain.
Yeah.
And you see it with, you know, like, I mean, people can debate whether, you know, Jesus rose from the dead or whatever, but there are historical. You know, there's historical accounts of the people that were around Jesus and how they lived and how they died. And, you know, they were running and hiding when Jesus was taken. And then when, you know, miraculously, we say after Jesus rose from the dead, that's what changed their whole thing. But they went to their deaths. A lot of Christians have gone to their deaths singing. And So, and not just like singing they died in their sleep deaths, like... You're getting thrown to the freaking lions and, you know...
Gladiators.
Yeah, gladiators and stuff, so...
Yeah. The SV says future, but I think it's Aharit, which means the end.
Okay.
And
Aharit?
Yeah.
I like that.
And it's
that'd be a cool band name.
Point in time at which something ends. So, that would be the death. Yeah, you know, the precious...
Wouldn't that be a cool black metal band?
Yeah. If I can get my freaking guitar working, we'll be able to do that. What the hell? Yeah, I mean, precious is in the sight of the Lord is the death of one of his saints and all that. So, for sure. But, you know, people always ask me, so-and-so is a bad guy, they're definitely in hell. I don't know, and neither do you, what was going on in the last few moments of a person's death or consciousness or walk with God. And I think it's crazy for Christians to say that they definitively know anything.
Honestly, for good or for evil, because if you looked at Judas's life,
right,
you would think, oh, that guy, he's going straight to heaven. No two ways about it.
Correct. And the whole time...
I mean, he was so trustworthy, and they, you know, that they had him carrying their money purse, and everybody knows. I mean, we don't have to go through the story of Judas. Everybody knows Judas is not...
Well, you know, when Jesus said, one of you will betray me, they didn't all go, it's Judas.
Right. Oh my gosh, is it me? Is it me?
so, I mean, yeah. But, yeah, it looks like this song is kind of dealing, Move Forward Was My Friend's Only Cry. It's always weird to me. What?
You think that that's the person that was dying was telling them, just go, leave me here, I'm not going to make it?
It's either that or the reverse, where the guy is seeing his friend and he's like, come on, we got to go, let's go, move forward. Maybe...
In deeper to somewhere we could lie and rest for the day with the cold in the way.
We were even colder on that day. And yeah, I mean, everybody knows if you rest during the cold, like you're done.
Yeah.
It's this weird thing though, like, I was taking a course one time and I had to, it was all, part of the course was about, you know, surviving and things of that nature. And there was this famous story of these. I think it was World War II, and they got torpedoed or whatever, and for whatever reason the Germans couldn't find them. The Germans pulled out or whatever, so they got lost at sea for like 30 days or something like that. And so they were just hanging on to the, shrapnel or whatever. Not shrapnel, but the pieces of the boat or whatever. And
so funny. That's what I pictured when you said it.
And it's this weirdest thing. Like, if they would have just stayed there and relaxed, they would have been okay. But some people like went crazy and basically let go and just let themselves drown. Like, some people just kind of hit this wall and they just quit. There are other people who started hallucinating and seeing rescuers when there were no rescuers, and they swam out to whatever, and there were sharks and all that. I mean, it was horrific, terrible.
See, I don't see myself letting go and just sinking down, just giving up. But I do see myself thinking, I have a plan, I gotta do something. Because sitting there, that's...
Yeah. Well, I mean, they didn't think they had a plan. I mean, they were just hallucinating and seeing
No, I know,
stuff
but I think that's...
That, to me, is more understandable, actually, than the other thing. Where you just, like, go and drown. Like, what the hell? But, I don't know, like, so that was all part of the conditioning in the course was to basically say, prepare yourself that if you're ever in that type of situation, that's going to be a temptation or an issue or whatever. And then they went through, this is yada, yada, yada. But the point was, it was a very, very fascinating story. And it was a pretty crazy story because they were basically saying, sometimes you're going to be in situations and people around you are just going to quit. And they're going to sit there and they're going to die. And you need to be prepared to just leave them.
I have a problem with, like, bodies. They're very, very scary to me.
What do you mean bodies? Like dead bodies?
Dead bodies are extremely scary to me.
I think it depends on the context. Like if you're like running for your life or something like that, then you're more scared of the living bodies than the dead bodies. But yeah, I mean, I understand, like, like dead bodies, very disconcerting to most of us, I would say.
Yeah.
But
like the people just like letting themselves go and sinking to the bottom, that would terrify me.
Yeah.
I know that it's obviously horrible that the person is dying and letting themselves die. Like, that's a problem. But honestly, the bigger thing for me, I know that it's impossible once they drown, they can't like come back up as like this scary zombie thing and grab me. But like, I fear that. When I go into any lakes or ponds, I'm always afraid that there's a body in there.
Yeah.
When I'm in the woods, I'm always afraid I'm gonna see something. I don't want to see any of that.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't think anybody wants to see any of that. That's not unique to you, believe you me. But it was a pretty crazy part in the court. They basically said, there's certain organizations where nobody gets left behind, blah 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 blah, and they were like, this is not one of those organizations. Like, people in that situation, leave them. They made their decision, so you got to respect it. But if you're deciding to live, then leave them. So it was just like a mind-boggling type of situation, because you see in the movies and nobody gets left behind and blah blah blah, and like it's very rare where something like that happens, where people exude that type of whatever you call it. And that's kind of where, that's why I said, like, if I'm dead, I'm dead. Don't break the bank for, giving me a comfortable, whatever. Like, if you're dead, you're dead. That's it. You're out. So, I pretty much never changed my mindset after that whole situation.
Aside from, like, my own children or you, everything, all of them, all the other ones are scary. My grandmother, she used to have me spend the night because when she wasn't feeling good, she had somebody spend the night. And she'd say, hey, you're not scared, your sister, she's scared all the time. She's afraid I'm gonna die me. You're not scared though. If I'm dead, I'm dead. That's it. Oh, I just lied to her. I said, I'm not scared of that. And then I'm not worried at all. I was scared. I was laying in my bed. I'm like, Lord, don't let her die tonight. Don't let her go tonight. I don't want to. I'd be listening. Sometimes I go by her door and old people, they sleep real still. There were so many times I thought, it's it. And I loved my meme. I didn't want anything to happen to her, but I also didn't want to be alone in the apartment like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But see, I feel like if it was you, I know this sounds deranged, but I feel like I'd be like one of those people that would have a hard time like moving you out of the bed. They'd be like, we have to take him. And I'd be like, no, I'll just, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
This is not a
So,
happy review.
it's a pretty crazy, situation.
Yeah, especially in a situation like this, I wondered if you'd be like, I mean, most people do these things as kind of like a vacation thing.
What,
You know
Mount
what I mean?
Everest?
Like, whatever. Let's go climb to some cold place. It's not like people are like, let's go, we could die. I mean, I'm sure that people kind of know that they could.
Well, in
but at the
Everest,
same
they know.
time,
In Everest, they definitely.
well, this didn't say Everest.
Right. No, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like the plan was to lose one of the people, but...
Yeah, that they know that. I mean, I'm sure they know it can happen, So, look, I think there, I had a guy that was mentoring me and taking me through stuff or whatever, and they had like multiple courses about how to make peace with your own death. And like, he basically said, look, man, and if you're hit, he basically says, if you get hurt, then you get hurt, but you're still alive. And if you die, you won't feel a thing. So it was kind of like hey. But then, part of the thing was like, it was like, dying with honor is the name of the thing. And it was just like, everybody's going to die. You could die on your way home from a car accident randomly for no reason. At least if you die in this situation, then you'll have died for a purpose. And I think that resonated with people. So, I mean, by the time you get to that, to sit in that class anyway, you were already demonstrated that you were a person that had a higher purpose for your life or whatever. Mm-hmm. So it was just one of those things where it was like, yeah, okay, that you got to make peace with it at some point, and and something really strange happens to you when you really do make peace with it. It's very, I can't explain it, but like it kind of, you enter into like, the world is different after that. After you truly made peace with it, the world is. If you
make peace with it, do you stay at peace with it forever, or is it just like for a time?
Yeah, I'm not. Just, there are things that I'm afraid of, but death is not one. I'm not afraid of that at all.
Oh, what do you fear?
Wouldn't you like to know? But yeah, I mean that's, and obviously, our religion has a lot to do with it.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
But also just when you realize that fear was there and then it's no longer there, everything just becomes just very, very different. Everything just looks.
That real moment.
I just don't know how to explain it. It's just things are different. I don't mean better different. It just means it's just different. You know what I mean? So, and it's weird. It's like you need that mechanism shut down, and a lot of times that's what keeps people alive. And there's certain situations where people's fear of death ends up killing them.
Oh, yeah. I could see that.
There's a very, famous, movies made out of it, full of exaggeration, combat situation, made a nice movie out of it, and people cried and stuff, but those dudes died because they couldn't get their minds to particularly the leader, like he couldn't get his mind straight. Mm-hmm. And it's like Fortnite, it's like, I'm like, oh, we could have got it if you would have just flanked that way. But you panicked, and so because you panicked, whatever, and
What do you mean? Who panics?
You're like, there's a shark, so now I'm afraid. Good lord.
I hate the game even more since the new season change. It's so much more nerve-wracking.
It's a video game.
I know.
It's not even real life.
I know.
But
I've always been like that with video games, though.
But that's
screaming.
That's the irony of the whole thing, is that it was obvious that dude's fear of death made it so that those guys died. Mm-hmm. Because if he would have done what they were trained to do, they would have been okay.
Wow.
8 to 10 dudes. You know, it wasn't hundreds and hundreds of people. It doesn't matter how big of a super soldier you are. 4 dudes are not going to get out alive when there's hundreds and hundreds of people. It was 8.
You could.
No, I couldn't.
You could beat Michael Jordan.
It was.
And you could get out of that.
It was 8.
Yeah.
So, but you know, you don't really know what you're gonna do until you're in that situation. You know, like nobody.
Oh yeah.
And it doesn't matter if you're a Mount Everest person or whatever. There's people I've watched interviews with people that have conquered Everest, and I'm like, that guy does not look like, you know. It's really a lot about what's in here and what's inside of you, and you know, every you know, organization on the planet is trying to figure out how to select people like that.
Yeah.
But there's no science. There's no science to it because it goes beyond what science can explain in the human soul. So, and for some people, they just hit that thing and they go, "All right, I'm out. We're gonna die. That's it." You know, but it's a pretty crazy situation. But good Lord, what a crazy song. But at the same time,
did it remind you at all? Go ahead.
Well, he was talking about how warm it is too. Like I think he's talking about like that endorphin rush that you get before, you know. So maybe there's a sense in which, you know, it helps to make peace with that eventuality. It's the destiny of every man. So you gotta think about it to some degree. What were you saying?
They didn't sound like Pink Floyd, but did they remind you of Pink Floyd?
They did, especially the solo.
Yeah,
the solo
me too.
felt very Pink Floyd-y to me. It was like a combo of Pink Floyd and what do you call it? Ozzy. You know, Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you get the song?
It's an 8 for me.
8.9 for me.
Oh, and I forgot to say this. His youth group leader shared this to him when they were, to the group, when they were in the 10th grade.
Okay.
I wonder what they said.
Well, this specific song or the band? In 10th grade, one of my youth group leaders shared a group called Yes. Okay, so he just shared the band.
Oh, it might not have been this song.
Not necessarily.
Message me and tell me what song he showed you guys. And if it was this one, I want to know what he said.
Well, you could definitely use that one in youth group. Scare the hell out of the kids.
Yep.
Literally.
Yep.
All right. There you are. Vin out.
Sori out.
Gone.